Pringle looking towards Agard. Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Due to it, water.
Full of health, mate.
Hello and welcome to the New York Talk, the Rotherham United podcast. Pre-season is almost at its end. There's only one more pre-season game left at time of recording. We're going to talk about the return of fans to New York Stadium on Tuesday night, plus the transfer market is moving still slowly for Rotherham United, but we are being assured it is moving to some sort of extent. So we're going to cover everything that's happened and what's to come in the next few days as well. We have Mick with us as always. So hello, Michael.
Hello.
And we have a debutant today. Lewis Oldham is joining us. Thank you for joining us, Lewis.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
So it's been a busy. It seems like pre-season. It almost feels like more happens in pre-season than it does in a normal week when there's actual games. It's really weird, but here we go. So first thing we'll do is last week we talked about it because it wasn't confirmed. Matt Crooks hadn't officially left. He has now officially left. We talked about it last week, but Lewis, just give us your thoughts on Crooks, just in general, but your thoughts on him leaving to Borough.
Yeah, it was just a matter of time, weren't it? I think we've got a good fee for him overall. I think it's at 1.5 with add-ons, with 1 year left on his deal. So I think it's about right with COVID and everything. I don't think we can grumble too much at the fee. Cracking player for us. We've had some great memories with him. Yeah, so I think he'll do really well at Borough, to be honest. Under our mate Warnock, I think is the match made in heaven, aren't they? I think so.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, it does feel like perfect, doesn't it? It just it's a jigsaw piece that just goes perfectly together with them two.
Yeah.
He's already scored in his 15 minutes into his first pre-season friendly. And he'll be coming back to New York on Friday.
I say he'll probably get his second goal on Friday, won't he?
Yeah, definitely. Mick, any final thoughts on Crooksy going? Good move for everybody. Like we covered last time.
Yeah, absolutely. Good move all around. And like Lewis has just said, there's perfect fitting for Colin. Love him to bits.
Yeah, we'll come on some more Middlesbrough China bit because they're not our best friends at the minute. So fans were back at the New York Stadium first time in 500 and something days. 4,000 fans, including 1,400 Newcastle fans, came to New York on Tuesday night. We'll talk about performance in a minute, Mick. Me and you went together. I don't know about you, but when we first got in there, it was good. It was really good. But it got to a point where I sort of felt a bit strange. I felt like I didn't know how to act. Yeah. I don't know if it's we weren't in our normal seats or whatever else, but it was different to what I was expecting.
Yeah, it felt a bit flat, if I'm honest, to start with. But then for me, this sounds really pathetic, but it is what it is. You know, as the team came out, I felt a little bit emotional. There were a little bit of emotion there. We're like, I can't believe this is happening after all this time. It was really weird, really weird. And I suspect that's going to feel probably the same again in that first league game back, because there is likely to be an atmosphere then. So yeah, but I mean, it's great to be back. It's great to park your car up and walk up to the ground, and I love it, brilliant. It's been too long.
It has, yeah. I realised it's the first time I've clapped properly, genuinely, since I went back to football. I have no other reason in my life to clap. It's the first time. It's just little things like that. I forgot. Oh yeah, we do this, don't we? I know you didn't go on Tuesday, Lewis, but are you how excited are you to get back into New York for
I can't wait. I can't wait. With work, it's looking like my first game might be Wednesday game. So, I think what a better way to go back than providing it's a good result, obviously. But yeah, I just can't wait. Just the whole day, the lead up to it, and everything. I just can't wait. It's been far too long.
Mm. Yeah, no without hiccups. We ran out of pies before half time, and there was some sort of issue
typical Rotherham problem. That
yeah, exactly. When we went to get into Family Stand, there were all just about 20 people waiting outside turnstiles, like they couldn't get in. But then we stepped forward and got straight in. It was really weird.
It was bizarre because they clearly they all got tickets in their hand. But there were I don't know. I don't know whether it's just a Rotherham United thing. We like to moan about pies. We like to moan about stewards. We like to moan about transfers. Maybe that's just what it is. It's just like, people have missed it. They've missed that moaning and groaning and just felt the need to stand outside and shout at the steward, make him feel back at home. I don't know. It was a bit weird though.
Yeah. It was. I said 4,000 people in. Not an amazing atmosphere, but just something nice to wet your whistle to move forward. Onto the performance. Michael Smith got a goal against his boyhood club, which I imagine was, even though it's a friendly, I can only imagine how good that would have felt for him to score literally in front of him as well. Make overall a really, really, really good performance up until the substitution started.
I think even after that, it wasn't that bad. We're going to put it into context, aren't we? Obviously, first of all, it's a pre-season friendly. Secondly, my override, and I think I said this to you halfway through the first half, I'm not entirely sure what Steve Bruce was trying to do. What he could possibly have got out of that game as a manager, as a coach, is utterly beyond me, because he put a strong team out, and I know I'm biased. I know I'm going to be partisan, and I'm going to be sort of all Rotherham and everything else, but they were schooled in that first half. Newcastle, they were absolute dross. And the players that they've got at their disposal, even in a pre-season friendly, that performance was almost inexcusable. It was dreadful, really was. And I'm not surprised Newcastle fans booed him off at half time. I mean, they're not the most patient set of supporters in Newcastle, to be fair. Because they're a massive club. Well, they've got a big ground and a lot of supporters, but they're a massive club. And to put in a performance like that was just, it were quite embarrassing, to be fair. But we made them look really poor. And you're right about Smithy. Smithy got his goal against his boyhood club, but that cross from Mikel Miller. Oh, mate. if he's going to start putting them in there this season, we're on to a winner with him, because I talked about him a couple of weeks ago in podcast, saying I felt that he could bring something to this team, and certainly on Tuesday night's showing, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Excellent. I'll shut up now. I've banged on a bit, haven't I? Sorry.
That's what we're here to do, isn't it? There is plenty to cover, because when the teams came out, Lewis, at 6 o'clock, whatever it were, it looked like a 4-4-2 with Ben Wiles at left back, and a lot of people, including us, were saying, "Wow, God, when Wiles at left back again? Oh God, here we go." It was a bit of a concern. We're having to stick him at left back in a pre-season friendly, but it ended up going back to a 3-5-2, which is again something we've talked about a lot on the podcast. Where are you sitting in terms of formation? Do you just horses for courses, or do you have a preference in terms of how I think we should set up?
I think obviously it depends on personnel, doesn't it? Like the change didn't really help Miller last season. At the start of the season, I was very, very happy with what he was playing. If I'm honest, I was quite surprised he went out on loan, but with the change of wing backs, he's not going to play as much. So I got that. But it suited as well last season. I think we played significantly better when we changed to a 3-5-2 last season than we were before. Defensively, anyway. I don't know. It just depends who we bring in. I suppose I know we're linked with a couple of wingers, so if that might suit us with whether they actually come in or not, is another thing. But
get them up that line, as the saying goes.
Yeah, I know. See him in the shirt, and then that's it, isn't it? But yeah, obviously it depends who we bring in. I'm happy to play whatever. I'm sure Warney knows best, doesn't he? Is targeting certain players, isn't he? So I'm happy either way. I'm happy with how we played last season with it, and also 4-4-2 if it suits.
Yeah, we go with Woody again last night, Mick. 3-5-2. If there's one player that formation fits down to the ground, it's Richard Wood. I think everybody else plays very well in different sets of formation. Well, to be fair, Woody plays decent in a 4-4-2, but in a 4-4-2 he gets isolated a lot. In 3-5-2, it can just go right. Woody, Callum Wilson, for example, last night is dropped right deep. He's on halfway line, so Woody can just follow him, and then Icky and Arden just come back to being a standard 2. And it gives Woody so much more freedom, and he can just play his aggressive game. If there's one person it suits, it's him, innit?
Yeah, it is. It is. And to be fair, in that game on Tuesday night, we played a 3-5-2 in possession and out of possession.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Callum Wilson and Dwight Gale up front, and we still only played three defenders essentially, and they still couldn't get anywhere near. And to be fair, out of the Newcastle side, they were probably the only two that put any effort in. The rest of them they just weren't interested, were they? They just weren't interested at all. I think Steve Bruce's name. There's something not right there with that Newcastle side. There's something not right. I get it's pre-season friendly. I get all that, but you're there to get your fitness, your match sharpness, to learn to play together, to have a look at maybe a couple of new players in there. But certainly, the whole point of that is to play a competitive-ish game and to get some fitness, get some sharpness. They got nothing out of that last night on Tuesday night. But I know we're talking about Richard Wood and that back three. We could play a back three. We don't need a back four. The way that those three performed, they got a little bit of help from Chio, a little bit from Miller, not masses, a little bit. That's probably all they're going to need if they put that sort of performance in.
Yeah, it's definitely. Issues with that formation, though, Lewis, is, like we mentioned, Chio and Mikel Miller in a 3-5-2. There were a couple of times on Tuesday night where Chio looked lost. He went and pushed up a bit high at one point, and he got an absolute rollicking from Wes Harding because he'd come out of position. It's difficult because we've got to fit somebody like Chio into the team and Mikel Miller, but it is difficult if the formation suits defence, suits midfield, but it doesn't suit our wide men at all. We've got to fit him in. It's a tough puzzle. One he's got to solve, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we can get away with it against certain teams, but if we're playing against, I don't know, like Sunderland and Ipswich and them sort of teams, I feel like they might expose us a little bit if we're too open like that. But it's new to both players. They're both, I think, Benny played the position might have been 3 or 4 games end of the season. Obviously, Millen's at all, so it might be something they'll go into if they're forced to play that formation more often. We'll have to wait and see.
Very exciting though. So very attacking wise, it's really exciting. Those two out wide, I'm looking forward to. Yeah. I want to see them play together. Really, really exciting. I thought midfield 3 is a solid 3. Wiles, Lindsay, and Barley's last night was excellent. Or on Tuesday night was excellent. And Freddie Smith, we've talked a lot about Freddie on this show. On Tuesday night, he was very, very strong. He put himself about until he realised he was going to get substituted. He put a lot of effort in, and if that's a sign of things to come, that's a really, really good sign.
Yeah, I mean, he was. If he could play like he played in that first half for a season, even half a season, he'd double, treble the number of goals he gets, and he'd be a massive, massive contributor to the team. I've said it before about him. I'll say it again. I think psychologically, I think he's quite fragile in terms of his confidence and his desire. In my view, I don't know the bloke. I can only obviously go on what I see, but on the pitch, and it just seems that certain things will affect him and affect his performance. But certainly in that first half, he was really, really. He caused them so many problems because he was physical, he was strong, he was aggressive. That's not what we've seen from Freddie in the past. often enough. We know he can do it, but he didn't do it often enough.
What are your thoughts on a strike lineup, Lewis? Because we've got, as it stands, we've got 3 proper strikers in Smithy, Freddie, and Coyote, who was a young kid. Do you still feel like we're short there? Do you think Smith and Freddie staying fit, that's good enough for us to push where we want to be?
I think we probably want more, I reckon. I think Coyotes can do a job this year for us, but obviously still relatively inexperienced, especially at the League One level. We could do with keeping Elder Smith. I know it's gone a bit quiet last few weeks, I think.
Thankfully.
Yeah, I'm quite glad. I'm quite glad, to be honest. But yeah, if we can keep Smith and Ladapo fit, that's a major boost. But I think we just need one more. I think 4 is the right number for us.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that one. Matt Daly played last night. We'll sort of half and move to transfers. Matt Daly was on trial from Huddersfield. Attacking midfielder, came on with about 15-20 minutes to go. I don't know how you felt about him. I felt I would like to see more of him, but at the same time, for a lot of the game that he played, he looked like a lost boy. He would just let the game pass him by a little bit.
It did a little bit, yeah. I mean, he had a couple of nice touches and, got it caught under his feet, or, he made a bit of a mistake with the touches, but it looks like he's clearly got that touch. You can't tell from 15 minutes, can you? You can't. It looks all right. I'm really impressed with what I saw of Josh Coyote. He's got a lot of pace. I mean, he's not cheer or quick, but out of Smithy and Freddie and him, he's certainly quicker than those two. Yet to see what he's like at finishing, but it looks a good prospect. It looks a really, really good prospect, and I suspect he might push Freddie this season.
That's the hope.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely.
Boy, we want him playing, don't we? In an ideal world. Yeah. Hopefully. Move on to one of the things I want to talk about after this, but Victor Johansson with already the save of the season from Federico, I think it was. Lewis, we've got an article out now on New York Talk.co.uk. Lewis has done an article on basically everybody's love for the Viking. It's just sort of about him in the Lewis. Just sort of about him. So he's like,
he's just a lovely bloke, isn't he? What else is there to say? It's clearly a very passionate goalkeeper, which obviously it makes him a lot more endearing to fans, even without fans being there last season. But he's not especially big, but he commands his area brilliantly from what we saw last season. Obviously, we saw yesterday. He can pull a worldie out, can't he? But I think he's going to be a brilliant asset to us. So I think he's 22 still. So yeah. He's only going to get better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's going to have a really good season. Like, touch wood, he stays fit and everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it should be all right because I don't think Gavin Ward will be refereeing in League One, will he? So hopefully he'll keep his eye sockets in one piece this season. I've let it go, mate. I've let it go.
Yeah, obviously.
Never.
I think that might get mentioned every single episode we have this season. I can see that being mentioned by him.
I've done my best. I won't forget.
Yeah, it's nice to have his own keeper. We've talked to him a lot about the other keepers we've had, who are probably better. Rodak is probably a better keeper than Johansson, but he's not ours. He wasn't ours, and Johansson's going to improve. If you compared Rodak when he started and when he left, you compare Victor, was very good to start with. So if you look at the improvement he's then going to have, if we can do something similar to that, then he's going to turn into Premier League keeper, no doubt.
Yeah. In what way was Rodak better?
I think at the end he was better. I think his kicking was better. These are the only minor. I think his kicking was better. He commanded his area better. At the end, his decision making in punching and catching was better. To start with, it was quite poor, but eventually it was much better.
Better than Victor is now, or better than it was when he started?
Probably better than he is now. But I also think his height helped him. Rodak's height helped him get out a lot of mistakes that he put himself in. Victor hasn't put himself in many bad situations, if that sort of makes sense. He seems quite clever in terms of his movement. Could you, in the past year, are many goals his fault? Whereas you could have blamed Rodak and Iverson for some goals. There's not many you can actually blame Johansson for, which is, again, it's a goalkeeper. It's what you want, obviously.
I think he's a better keeper than both of them. I think he will be a better keeper than both of them. I think he's a much better keeper than both of them at the same stage of their Rotherham United careers that he's at now. I genuinely do, and a lot of that is just down to confidence. He's clearly got the ability. He's got this, his ability is without question. But neither is Rodak's. His ability wasn't, and Everson, neither of their abilities was in question really. But confidence-wise, for me, he's a level above, and the way he dictates and operates that defence in front of him is second to none that I've seen in a Rotherham United shirt for years. And that for me is a vital part of that defence, that sort of defensive unit, and we haven't had that, and now we have. We've got a 22-year-old kid who's got absolutely no problem with tapping a 36-year-old centre half on the shoulder and giving him an absolute rocket for not doing his job properly. That's what you want, and that's what people like Woody and Icky and Wes Harding, that's what they want as well as defenders, because that gives them the confidence in who's behind them, and allows them to get on with their job. So I tell you, mate, honestly, he has the potential to be the best keeper we've ever had.
Big shout, but
I think he has.
I can't disagree. Go on, Lewis.
Yeah, I was just saying I'd agree, but at stages that it's quite frightening what it could become. Easily Premier League goalkeeper in a few years' time, all being well. I think we just need to offer him a new contract. I think because runs out this year, doesn't it? I think
so. Yeah.
How old was Emi Martinez when he came with us? Similar sort of age, if I recall, possibly a bit older.
Might have been
a bit older.
Yeah. Not a patch.
He's 28 now, Emi Martinez.
I would have Victor over him any day of the week. I would have Victor over Argentina's first team goalkeeper any day of the week.
Copa America winning Emi Martinez.
Well, I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious. He has potential to be that good.
Yeah, it seems crazy that Leicester let him go for nothing. That does seem very strange. But it's smaller than Iverson. We've got them from the same club at similar times. The only difference is height. For me, they're very similar keepers. I think Johansson is slightly ahead of Iverson, which makes it strange. But Leicester's lost. Yeah. One other player I wanted to point out from last night, Mick, because I think it's right to, is Kieran Sadlier came on. Again, when it was around 70 minutes, all the subs started being made. We've talked about Coyote, but Kieran Sadlier came on and was superb for 10, 15 minutes. His first touch was garbage on the first, his first touch of when he came on, but he nutmegged about 3 Newcastle players.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He got himself into some dangerous positions. We did not see that once last season. I know he didn't play a great deal, but we didn't see that directness of our energy throughout the entire time he played last year.
To be fair, we didn't see that directness and energy from the whole of the team that we saw on Tuesday night last year. Had there been that more aggressive and confident going forward last season, we wouldn't have had a problem. They were literally on the front foot, weren't they? And playing with the freedom and confidence. Maybe that's playing with freedom and confidence of a friendly game. I don't know, but yeah, it was good, and I feel a bit for him because he's definitely a good player, isn't he? There's no question about that. He's got the ability. He's just not been given the chance.
No,
through injury as well.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on him, Lewis? Because everybody's got an opinion on. He's one of them players that everybody's got an opinion on. Where do you sit on Sadler?
Well, like Mick said, we're not seeing enough for him to properly judge yet, but he were a top player at Donnelly in League One. It's just a matter of where is he going to fit in in our formation. That's all. Because if we play 5 at back, I can't see him playing centre mid ahead of Barlaser or Lindsay or Wiles, unless we play in a attacking midfield role like Crooks did. But there's a player there, definitely. It's just I think he struggled a bit last season coming in after that bad injury. He didn't really get a good run of games, full 90-minute games. But there's definitely a good player there, no doubt about it.
Yeah, we know he can do it in League One. He did very well for Donny, so hopefully we can tap into that. It does seem reluctant to play him in that central role behind the side. He couldn't play any deeper than a 10. If he's going to play him there, you have to play him in quite an advanced role from what we've seen. But he seems incredibly reluctant to do that so far. So let's see if how that pans out. We've got another friendly on Friday against Middlesbrough. Matt Crooks will be making his return. There'll be a few more, hopefully a signing or two, which we'll touch on in a minute, but things are moving quite slowly. So we'll talk about that as and when that happens. On to transfers properly. We're going to start with the negative transfer.
We have to.
Well, I don't know about you. Yeah, Lewis Wing's gone to Wednesday on a season-long loan. So this is the same Sheffield Wednesday that are under a sort of a transfer embargo where they're not allowed to sign players for a fee, but they are allowed to pay a loan fee. I don't quite understand that, but that's the EFL. I don't think their rules are meant to be understood.
No.
I'll be honest with you, Lewis. When I saw this come through, I got a message from a Wednesday fan because Wednesday are so crazy that whoever their chairman's son follows on Twitter on Instagram means they're going to sign him. And he got a message saying, at Chancery's just started following Lewis Wing. I'm like, for God's sake, don't do this to me.
Not again.
And they went in. What are your thoughts on this, Lewis? Because it's frustrated me.
Yeah. I don't think it was ever a realistic signing for us in League One. Because I think it's on 10 grand a week, which for us in League One, it's just not going to happen. It's just the fact he's gone to Wednesday, which I find frustrating. I fully expected him to go to someone like a Luton or like a bottom half Championship side. But it's just clear that Wednesday have thrown money at him, and you can't really blame the player for going, really, because I suspect they're paying his full wage bracket. I'd have thought. Yeah, it's just frustrating because no doubt we'll rip up league, score against us a few times, and as it always happens like that. But yeah, I wish him well. He did a great job for us last year. It's a shame he's not gone to a Championship side.
Yeah, it's a lot about the Crooks to Ipswich thing for me. If Crooks had gone to Ipswich, it would have felt, not necessarily because Crooks would have been getting a good deal, fair play to him, but it's not a step forward if he went to Ipswich. No, because it's in League One. And that's sort of how I feel with Wingmick. I want to see him step forward. And if he's not going to come to us, that's fine. I understand the finances from that point of view. I'm not having to go at the club. But the frustration is that he's come down to League One. He's too good. Number one, he's too good for League One. And he should be playing at the Championship for me. And it's frustrating that he's not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of points to it, isn't there? You know, the fact that Wednesday said they're going to pay him 10 grand a week. Yeah, I'll pay you 10 grand a week now as well, Lewis. If there's much chance getting out of me as you have a tuna man, haven't you? So, you know, whatever. We were never going to, like as Lewis has just said there, we were never going to pay that. And any of our supporters that think that would even be a consideration are utterly deluded, because it was never ever going to be a consideration for us, and rightly so as well, in my view. Absolutely rightly so. So you see, then you look at. Let's not talk about them. There's no point talking about them. They're a waste of space, and they will get. Hopefully, they will get what's coming to them eventually. when he gets bored and walks away with a £1 in his pocket, because that's essentially what's going to happen in it ultimately. I had some sort of nagging doubts in the back of my head when he came to us, particularly after his first couple of performances. I can't understand why he wasn't getting in that Middlesbrough side. I don't understand it, because he has got the ability to be a Championship footballer. There's no doubt about that, and he showed that last season up to a point for us. But he only got 1 goal. And for the rest of the time, he couldn't hit a bull's arse with a shovel, could he? You know, it was really just, he really struggled to find a goal. And at the time, I'm thinking, well, you know, is this just a bit of bad form? Is it, you know, is that what it is? But then you look at that, the fact that he can't get into Middlesbrough side, the fact that Neil Warnock doesn't want him in there, clearly doesn't want him there, and he hasn't got a place for him in his squad. And there's another 23 Championship, well, 22, because Derby is still in there, aren't they? So there's another 22 Championship football clubs who would have the ability to take him either on loan or as a permanent, and that's not happened. And there's you know, a good number of those clubs have got that ability to pay that amount of money as well. I don't know. Is there something there? And I just throw that out there. I'm not saying there is, but is there something there? Is there some reason why he's not wanted? He's not wanted at that level by clubs. Is there something wrong with him as a player, as a personality, his personality? I don't know. His end product. What is it? But I'm sure he must have had the opportunity to go to a Championship club, and he hasn't. Yeah. He's gone down the road to them. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. We don't need to. That's not a position we need to strengthen. It's not. It's not. I don't. It's not. So
it's not better than we've got.
I'd take him, but
really. Are you telling me?
I love Barlaser, but Wing's better than Barlaser. Really? He does more. He can do what Barlaser does, plus a little bit more.
Well, let's wait and see how this season pans out. Because you've got Barlaser, you've got Lindsay, you've got Ben Wiles in there. For me, are all on their day a match for him, at least. I don't think that's an area we need to strengthen for me, and I'm not sad to see him not come to us. It's a bit frustrating that he's gone there, but hopefully it just adds another nail in their coffin, doesn't it, with some other wages that they can't afford to pay. Hey, it's going to happen, isn't it? I mean, you know, I know I'm being a bit sort of tongue in cheek and a bit smart ass about it, but it's going to happen.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, the clubs in this league, we've talked about Ipswich. We're going to spend a lot of money. In fact, maybe not transfer fees, but wages and things like that. We're going to spend a reasonable amount. Wednesday have now started to spend a little bit, assuming they get transferred. You know, assuming the women wages get paid, which you would assume that Wednesday will now pay the wages because they've been told if they have another incident of non-payment, they will get a points deduction, and it's not going to want to see them get a points deduction. I think that's one of the things Chansiri cares about, trying to get up the league. But then you look at the EFL, look at Derby's situation, where they weren't allowed to sign players. Wayne Rooney's kicked off a bit, so now they're allowed to sign some players under a few extra loosened conditions.
Yeah,
so
but
the EFL...
They might be allowed to sign some, but he'll only injure him in training, won't he? He'll only kick 7 bells out of him in training and injure him again.
It was the most Wayne Rooney story I've ever heard in my life. That.
Yeah. It's just Derby County. I mean, it's just crazy. Imagine off topic, but imagine if they got relegated. Imagine the state they would be in if they were a League One club. They've got Championship to fall back on a little bit. But if they were in League One now, we're still under a transfer embargo, they'd be staring down barrel at League Two. So they're very lucky.
Look, they're already staring down barrel at League One, and the season hasn't even kicked off yet.
Yeah.
So
so we talked about Matt Daly, so I crossed him off my list. Next, we're going to talk about Hakeem Odofin, is what we think it's called. I haven't heard a pronunciation for anybody else. That's what we're going for at the moment. A fee has supposedly been agreed with us in Hamilton Academical. This has all been confirmed by Hamilton. There's been nothing from the club other than, there's been basically nothing from the club. He seems to be a previously central defender who can now play mainly as a sitting midfielder. No, I haven't seen any notes on the transfer fee, but it's a good sign that we're willing to pay a bit of a transfer fee. Thoughts on this, Lewis? Mick said we didn't need to strengthen the midfield, but we are going to strengthen the midfield.
Yeah.
If it's a sitting midfielder that's going to come in, how do you see that fitting into to the team?
It's a different type of player, isn't it? I don't think we've really got a specialised defensive midfielder. Like we had, obviously, Sean McDonald going. It could be like a like-for-like replacement for him, I suppose. But I had a quick look on Twitter, and they look quite gutted that he's going. Hamilton fans.
So it's a good sign.
It's always a positive sign, isn't it, when that happens? Yeah. But yeah, a young lad. I think he's 23. I think we've done well in the Scottish market, haven't we? So hopefully this is another one, especially with midfielders with Lindsay and Volks as well. So hopefully this is the one on the list. But
yeah, it's always a good sign. Well, that's what I mentioned. Though it's a good sign when the other opposition fans are gutted to see him leaving. And a good sign that he wants to come south of the border. That might sound like a strange thing to say if people don't know Scottish football. But he could easily stay up in Scotland. It might not make as much money, but he could easily stay up there and continue to do well. He wants to come down here and better himself. He's not going to a championship club. He's going to League One where it's going to be hard work. And assuming this goes through, we talked about Shane Ferguson ticking a lot of boxes. This also ticks some boxes.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And he's coming to a club where he knows will develop him. And that's a massive part of it for a player of that age. And hopefully, if he comes, obviously, if it's confirmed, that's going to be a player have played. I'm sure a big part in it. We'll look at the way that the players that we've that we brought in have developed, as you've mentioned, as Lewis mentioned there, with Will Volks. He's come down from Scotland and developed and gone on to a £2.5 million move to Cardiff. And Jamie Lindsay, similarly, has come down and improved massively. I think it's a good move for him, and hopefully it's a good move for us as well, and will make us some money in the longer term. So I can't fault it really. Sounds good. Sounds a bit of a Semi Ajayi type. If he's half as good, he'll be brilliant.
No, I'll take that if he is.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we'll see that comes through. It's been supposedly agreed for a few days now, but nothing's been confirmed back. Hopefully, it comes in before Friday so we can play. It'd be nice to get him in so he can actually play a game with his teammates for pre-season before the actual season starts. Sorry. Somebody else we took a lot of trialists. We are getting supposedly Marlon Fossey. Again, I think that's how you pronounce it. An American fullback on loan from on trial from Fulham initially. Right back. The only thing I know about him is his hair.
Bit like me.
Fantastic hair.
It's the only thing you know about me.
Yeah. Reading between the lines, though, Lewis. So he's a right back, is what we know. Sean Rooney is also a right back, and that Sean Rooney deal seems to have gone very, very quiet. Now, again, I'm only reading between the lines. If we're looking at bringing in another right back on trial with a view to moving forward, does that suggest that the Sean Rooney deal has gone very quiet from their side?
Yeah, you'd have thought so, because I can't see he's bringing two right backs in with Harding. Obviously, we were brilliant last year. I expect him to be one of the best right backs in the league this year, going off last year. So I can't see him bringing both of them in. I know it. Did we have was it 200 grand we had rejected for Rooney or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
Apparently, like you say, I can't see he's bringing both in. And with this new right back being American, there's all of a sudden mark two in it. So, you might think, American, we'll bring him in. But I can't see he's bringing both in. We'll just have to see what unfolds.
Yeah, this Fossey has been on loan at Shrewsbury previously. Played 7 times at Shrewsbury last season. And I saw a few Shrewsbury people on Twitter saying that he had a lot of injury problems, but he looked a decent player. Again, it's an area that we need, Mick. We need a right side, another right back. We need a little left back. There's a couple of other areas that we need to fill in. The Sean Reid, just fascinated with the Sean Reid deal. St Johnstone have supposedly softened significantly to want another 50 grand on top of what we originally offered. I can't see why we wouldn't do that. Unless there's been a failure with player terms. It seems very strange to me, that one.
Yeah, it does. It does, but I may be the only one, but I trust them to do what they're employed to do. The recruitment team down there and Warren and his coaching team. And if they consider it's worth 200 and no more, then it's worth 200 and no more. From my point of view, it may be that, like you said, they can't agree personal terms or whatever it is. I don't know. If you don't want to come, you don't want to come. Whatever. If it's not worth what they're asking, then we don't pay it. We've got to be realistic about this as fans. We've got to be, we can't just be going out buying players because we haven't bought any. You know what I mean?
It's not fun, though, is it? It's not fun.
Yeah, no. Well, neither is not playing your players all, 2 or 3 times a season and not having a ground and everything else that goes with that sort of culture, is it? Because we ain't got somebody who's going to bankroll that. Ipswich and Wigan have currently got the sugar daddies throwing money about like men with no arms. That will run out ultimately, won't it? What are you looking at me like that for? As if I've said something stupid.
How would a man with no arms throw money around?
It's a saying. Like Pucker Jen from last podcast, it's a saying.
I've never heard that one before.
I'll stay quiet on this one. I don't know what you're about.
No.
Oh, God. Are you just deliberately trying to make me feel old? Is that what it is?
I just never heard of that one. It just didn't make sense to me.
So you've never heard the phrase "throwing money about like a man with no arms"?
No,
I don't know. I don't think so. No.
Maybe it's gone out of fashion. Maybe it's offensive. I don't know.
It might be offensive, to be fair. Apologies if it is. I don't see how he could throw money around, but that sounds to me like the saying that would be a saying of somebody who doesn't spend money because he can't throw money around.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, very,
maybe I made it up. I don't know. But either way, Tony Stewart's got 2 arms. He ain't going to be throwing any money about, is he?
No.
When he doesn't need to.
No.
And quite rightly too. We need players.
There's a line though, isn't there? We are now desperate for players. We're a week before.
We're not desperate, Matt.
Well, we are. You look at our bench yesterday. We had 2 senior players on the bench. That's not enough. If we're going to Plymouth with only 3 senior players on the bench, that's still not enough. But I agree with what you're saying. I'm fully with you. But we're almost at a point where we need the bodies in, and I don't want to see us panic buy, and I don't think we will, to be honest. I think Roy would trust the kids rather than panic buy, which again I don't have a problem with. But if we go into that Plymouth game with only a couple to 3 senior players on the bench, we've got a problem, a big problem.
Well, we have. If 4 of them get injured in that Plymouth game, then potentially we might have an issue.
If you've got 3 senior players and one's a striker and one's a winger in Sadler, and Woody gets injured, we're stuffed.
You are aware that the season is 46 games and it lasts for 9 months. And we're also still 11 days away from the start of it.
Yeah,
I know. We have to understand that we've got a recruitment team in place. We've got a job to do. They'll have a set of criteria to work to, and a budget to work to, and whoever we bring in will fit into that criteria and will fit into that budget. And if they don't come in, and we'll make do with what we've got. But there are enough players out there to fill those slots. But it's finding the right people. And if the right people are not available, you've got to stand on here, haven't we?
You have. You look at last season's injury crisis. Forget about the COVID ones. Our injury crisis was quite a bad one at times. All it takes is something half that bad, and there's problems. Yeah. Lewis, me and Mick have been arguing for 2 minutes. What are your thoughts on bringing people in?
I think in terms of starting 11, we're pretty much sorted. Obviously, we've lost Crooks, but it's like you were saying, Matt. Is if we lose a right, what if Harding gets injured, whatever, we're in trouble, aren't we? But I trust Warren, Rob Scott, and all that. I think there'll be some players in this week, and Rotherham fans will be happy as Larry. But it's I can see why it's frustrating, but I think the team we've got puts us in a very good position, considering how we did last year. I know we went down in the end, but we've held our own for most of the season with most of this team at higher league. So yeah, it's just a matter of filling out the squad now. But I think it's only a matter of time, isn't it?
Yeah, a couple of signings and everybody feels better. It's just because our business has been slower. It's been slower than a normal season. Everybody else's has as well. It just adds a bit of anxiety to everybody. We're so close to the season. Another name that's been mentioned is Oliver Rathbone from Rochdale, who had a 6-figure bid turned down by them. The thing is with these bids, you don't know when they've come in. Rochdale, this could have come into a month and a half ago, and Rochdale are now just sort of coming out and saying, "Oh, this has been rejected for one reason or other." Whether they want to revive the deal or something like that, you just don't know with the transfer window. There's ulterior motives all over show. So we'll keep an eye on all that because it's a funny old time. We've said it once, we've said it 1,000 times. It's the strangest transfer window in my memory. But we're hopefully the next, 11 days, there'll be some excitement and we'll get some players in the areas that we need them to come in. That is all I have from my list. Don't panic, everybody. Mick says don't panic. So don't panic.
He'll be fine.
Anything else that you guys want to touch on? Anything else that I've missed off? Any other players' interest that I've missed off?
No.
Cool. I like that because I've done my research properly. I like it. So thank you all for listening and watching. If you're watching YouTube, thank you very much. We do appreciate everybody that's watching and listen to us. We'll be back next week sometime. We'll maybe do 2 episodes next week, depending on one thing or another. But we'll be back with hopefully a few more signings. And then next Friday will be our first preview show of the season, our first proper preview of the season, because the season is finally going to be back underway next Saturday against Plymouth. I'm very, very excited to bring that one. In the meantime, newyorktalk.co.uk, we've got some great stuff on there. Like Lewis has already put an article today. It'll come up on Wednesday about Victor Johansson. The match reports from the pre-season friendlies from Danny Glaves, which will continue throughout the season as well. If you can all subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Spotify and iTunes, give us a 5-star rating if you can as well. We would all very much appreciate that. Lewis, it's been a pleasure having you on, mate.
Thank you for having me. Anytime.
Cheers, mate. And Mick, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I can see through that, mate.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all next time.
Pringle looking towards Agard. Ravel, ambitious.